Welcome to Happy Hour with Haley. I am Haley Chura. I'm joined today by Katie Treston-Torney, recent finisher of Ironman New Zealand and returnee to the United States. Katie, how you doing?
I feel so good. I love post race week where all of the pre-race nerves leave your body. My body's starting to come around a little bit, so my energy levels are coming back up. I am slowly getting back on a normal circadian rhythm, and I'm feeling really good.
That it is the best part. I think when people ask, like, why would you do another Ironman? Like, why do you do so many? A lot of it was, I think, for me, the finish line feeling. And what do you think, like 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? How long after the race does that glow last?
I mean, I hold the glow as long as possible. Like, if you want to talk to me about about the race, that fills me back up and letting me relive a little bit of it. I usually start to feel a little bit better around day 7 or 8, where I'm like, okay, I'm excited to work out again. Um, and I don't force any workouts, right? Like everything I do is for joy, for excitement. And then usually this week I try and prioritize my master's swim. And a lot of times before the Ironman, we would have longer swims. So they would be in the 4,000-yard range or higher. So it usually meant that I would do the master's swim and then I would have more to add either before or after. And I would really try and limit my yapping time in the pool because I'm like, I need to get swimming. But in the post Ironman weeks, I just let myself yap as much as possible with my lane mates. I can get in with the master swim team and I can get out with the master swim team. And so that's what I did today. And that just fills me with so much joy. I love it. I would say that I give myself a month of living in the post Ironman glow of, just I'm still talking about it with people. I usually take a bit to add back in intensity. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. What
That
about
is
you?
a good spot. I did not race an Ironman, so no, there's no glow.
You
I
have the post commentary glow. I
Okay, I'll take
see
the
it.
post-commentary glow. I swam this morning, and someone did comment that it looked like I was wearing socks in the pool because my tan
Oh,
lines, my sock tan lines, my feet are
uh,
so pale white, and my legs do have a little bit of color. And someone else did say I look tan. So that's the bit of
so
New
lovely.
Zealand that I have brought back with me. The last time I did an Ironman, which was last October, I feel like I got 3 solid weeks. I went from the race to the New York City Marathon in 3 weeks, and I feel like that was 3 weeks of bliss, and then it was not. Then it kind of came crashing down. So I always would give myself about 3 weeks of really basking in that glory, and I tried to hang on to Kona as long as I can, and it's gone. Like that fitness, that level that I had before, all gone.
Is it the easiest for you to jump back into swim fitness or running fitness? Like, what is the easiest for you to bounce back in?
Swimming for sure. I
Okay.
think because it's
Yeah.
non-impact and I probably have the longest history of all the sports, swimming is definitely what would come back first. What do you feel for you? I mean, swimming sounds like what you go to.
No, Haley, I'm not absolutely not. The only reason I say swimming is because swimming is the only community that I train with. And so I have what I perceive as built-in training partners that they're not invested at all into my racing or my training, but I make them
What?
invested because I can just yap about it all the time. And, during rest intervals, you're shoulder to shoulder in the shallow end. So there's nowhere they can go because they want the rest interval too. So it is like a captive audience for me to talk about whatever it is that I want to talk about. Sometimes it's Taylor Swift, a lot of times it's racing, a lot of times it's like the politics around racing and what's going on. None of them are triathletes. They are all like real hardcore swimmers. And so it's lovely. So no, it's just because I have people I can talk to, but probably running comes back the quickest for me.
Interesting. I'm like picturing these hardcore swimmers. I appreciate that they do like this, but I think this is also part of why people enjoy swimming. it is actually fairly social, and you get to the point where you can tell a story in 10-second breaks over a 15-minute set, right? Like, and that's one of the greatest joys in life.
No, it is, and it's also a learned skill set. So when I started Masters Swim, I always felt so awkward cutting people off when the interval was going and, like, felt so rude pushing off the wall as people were talking. And now, 2 years into Masters, I'm like, "Bye, Felicia. It is interval time." And then you just, like, get to your next rest interval, catch your breath depending on how hard you went, and then you, like, pick right back up. And it's normal swimming culture. It is incredibly awkward. And for, a Midwesterner who hates making anybody a little bit uncomfortable, I hated it in the beginning, but now it's like second nature. And I would love to see like real swimmers, like I would love to just watch a real swimmer swim practice to see how different my master swim is from real swim practice. And if you guys just like yapped at the wall, like we yap at the
Yes.
wall, or
Oh,
you're probably
yes. You're
working a
totally
lot harder.
No, you're always yapping at the wall. I mean, I do that same thing too. And it's so funny because I've never even thought of it as rude. I'm just like, no, you just go. I'm like, of course. And it is, if someone's talking and then they just go, you're like, oh, it's because their interval was up. And we'll get the
Yeah.
rest of the story after. And that has never crossed my mind.
That's really funny. Right now we're in our season because our master's state meet is in a couple weeks. So I get so caught up in hearing people like determine their events and what order they want to go in. And where they perceive they can do the best at. And the big talk today is at the Master Swim Meet, you can do a 100 IM, which I learned is
Mm.
not a distance that actually exists. But the strengths of this distance is you get to start on the block and you dive in. So you only have to butterfly for however long you come up for. So, like maybe 12 yards. And as an AOS, adult onset swimmer, I could not do more than, 2 butterflies. And so it behooves you to like do
Are
this
you going to
100 distance.
sign up?
Will I do it? Absolutely not. No.
Oh.
There is no shot. I might do like the mile. I feel like I could hold on to that. But also you underestimate how hard starting off the blocks are.
I don't underestimate. I know.
Oh, you
Believe
do?
me, I did it for a long time. No, no, no.
Oh,
I don't go off any blocks these days. No, no, no.
I,
Even with
you
my
know, like
new health insurance, my low deductible health insurance, I am not risking it.
So it is very difficult to determine the angle at which your face is going to smash the water to not have your goggles come completely ejected off of your eyeballs. I watch a lot of like the Olympic trials and the SEC meets, and nobody seems to lose their goggles, but I have never dove into the water and not have my goggles on my neck. So that
They need to be
also,
tighter. You need them tighter. I know that triathletes do not like those goggle marks, but I
no.
have never looked at someone and been like, "Ew, goggle marks." I love goggle marks. I
Mm.
think I look good with them. When people get their plastic surgery, I'm like, surgical goggle marks. That's what I want.
You know what? You look beautiful all the time, but it also so I've never done Alcatraz. Have you done Alcatraz?
I have not. No. I've
Okay.
done a few other races where we started with a dive, but it's not very common in triathlon.
It's not, but the Alcatraz dive looks gnarly. Like
'Cause
that
you're off a
is
boat.
high up. Right. And nobody seemed to go fishing after their goggles after that. So they practiced and I'm impressed.
I think some people also jump. So,
Oh, yes.
so it is. I've heard that the cost or the time savings is actually not that extreme. Wait. Adult beverage alert.
Oh, sorry.
You had a fancy glass, and this is happy hour with Haley. And I, kind of sometimes forget when Jocelyn isn't here. So what are you drinking?
I have sparkling water in a wine glass.
Is this something that you typically do? Just put your sparkling water in a wine glass to make it seem fancier?
It is. Every night I take a sparkling water in a wine glass. And it feels fancy to me. I am a big fancy glass human. I love fancy glasses. I love glasses that like weigh a little bit. Um, I really want the Anthropologie decorative glass. I believe you have one behind you
Yes.
sometimes. I am so envious of them. I would love a little collection of those. But yeah, fancy glasses just make me feel bougie.
I agree. I typically have a fancy glass. I will admit that I didn't prep really well. I have an Olipop in a can. So,
Mm,
and normally even this I put into a fancy glass.
yeah.
I wasn't thinking today. It has been a week, since got home from New Zealand and life has been a bit of a struggle. So I'm proud that there are any fluids in my body at all because I feel like I've just been existing in a constant state of dehydration. So,
Mm.
so we're doing what we can, not always perfect every day, but I do support the fancy glass movement that you're starting here.
Me too. I read this really cool Substack about essentially there are seasons that we can go all in on a perfect morning routine, a perfect health or doing everything right. And then there's seasons where you allow yourself a little bit of grace and maybe you run on sparkling water, or I know you're not a big Diet Coke fan, but Diet Coke for those out there that love that beverage too. And I think it's really beautiful. You have been a very, very structured, regimented human for many years with your training, and you were always hydrated and you were always making sure you were getting enough food and sleeping, and now your life looks a little bit different, and that's really beautiful and cool too. And I know probably in the midst of it, it doesn't feel great because your body doesn't feel as great, but it's also really good. And things are going to ebb and flow. You work in finance, in accounting, and this is your incredibly busy season. So I think also recognizing that this is not how it always will be, and giving yourself a little bit of grace is really beautiful too.
I think you need to send me a check for your therapy session you just gave me because I needed that. And so I appreciate that. Wait, no, send me a check. I need to send you a check. You send me an invoice. Again, I work
I
in
don't
accounting. I
know.
work
You don't
in
get
finance.
accounting.
But it is very late in the workday and in a
Yeah.
long, hard work week. So my order of events is a little off right now, but yes, please send your invoice to haleychura@gmail.com
That's
and
what-
we can arrange that. But thank you for that. That is a very
Yeah.
nice spin on it. Going back to you and talking about your race, you say you love talking about your race. You did have you on this show immediately after the race, or not immediately, the next morning, but it felt probably pretty immediate. And we talked about some of your race reflections. And I am curious, since it's been almost 2 weeks since, or it has been 2 weeks since race day. I think if we go by the time change, um, how do you feel about it now? Have your feelings changed?
You know, I am not a human who is able to sleep post race. I completely overdo it on caffeine. I completely overdo it on sugar. And then you just have like all of these emotions around the race. So for me, it kind of was right after the race because I did not sleep a second that night after. So I was still going pretty strong on the post race. And my post race meal is always a 20-piece chicken McNugget, 2 large fries, and a Diet Coke and ranch. Favorite meal. There is nothing better in the whole world. New Zealand does have all of those things. Not Diet Coke. They have Coke Light. I am not one to judge. I was fine with it. They don't believe in ranch dressing. Do you know how many people I asked for ranch dressing? And I was for probably 35 in New Zealand. So I had mayo, and I
Not the
after the
same.
race was pretty sick. Couldn't settle the stomach. And
Mhm.
so I finally was able to start getting calories in about an hour to 2 hours before our podcast. So I finally got in those chicken nuggets that had been sitting in the refrigerator all night. And so you feel all I can't I haven't listened back to the episode because I know that it's just like full of emotion. Um and it still is how I feel, right? I am incredibly proud of myself. There were a lot of things that were thrown at me the race week. I didn't know if I was going to be able to race. So I'm proud of showing up. I will forever and always be proud of an Ironman start line and an Ironman finish because it is really hard. And sometimes I think when you get to I don't know. I think we all put these expectations on ourselves, but as soon as we get to the finish line one time, we think we can always do it. And we're always trying to push ourselves harder and harder. And at the end of the day, getting to the start line healthy and happy, and then getting yourself to the finish line, I feel like you need to be proud of that. And so I'm trying to reframe that. I always, after every race, kind of have a come down of all the emotions, all the adrenaline. You plan for that race for months, and that's all you can think about a lot of the times, getting all the preparations right, getting your body right. And then all of a sudden, after it's over, you're like, what it's over, right? Like all that planning, all that time. And so luckily I've done a lot of races. I know that I have a swing of emotion following Ironmans, and I just kind of need to ride it out. And I need to find other things that fill me up and fill me with joy and find little passion projects. But I would say big picture, I'm proud of the race. I'm so proud of the experience. I'm proud of my tiny human for traveling across the world and being there. It was an incredible experience with my family. It was an incredible experience with you and Sam, our other friend. So I think as time goes on and on, I'm going to be more and more proud. There are times that I have regret that I wasn't faster on the day. I couldn't go harder on the day. But I try and silence those thoughts as quickly as I can and remind myself of the positives and what I love out of the trip. Because I'm a person that, like, the more I think about something, the more that can feel like the big emotion or the big thing to focus on. So I just try and like squash those feelings and remember the positives out of the trip.
Sounds like a very mature and introspective situation. You did finish, I believe, 16th in the women's pro field. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is, I think, your highest pro finish. Is that right?
I think right around there. Yeah.
Maybe Traverse City, 70.3. I don't remember.
Maybe, yeah.
I know
I
you
don't
had
know
that
either.
very close race
I
with
forgot
like
that I ran that
a couple
race too.
other women.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
one was really exciting. Again, which is maybe a very good indicator, right? I don't remember what place you finished in Traverse City. What I remember is that you had this like really close battle with two other women on the run.
Yeah.
And then I think of the three of you, you ended up first out of the three, but I don't even remember what place anyone got. And I'm like the coach. I'm paid to remember that. But I think 16th is in a pro series race. Ironman is very, very impressive. Those are incredibly tough fields and big money, and they bring the best competition. And so I understand that there are times where you're like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. And sometimes that's what keeps us coming back to the sport. And I think the reason you race pro is because you are the type of person who is going to evaluate your performance and try to think about where things could go better and trying to get the most out of yourself. And that's why you're in the pro field. So I think it was a great performance especially given the challenges you mentioned, the visa travels or challenges getting to that start line and finishing an Ironman no matter the time, and your time was very fast. If you're
Thank you.
finishing in 10 hours or something in an Ironman, like, that is a fast time, but it's really hard. It's very, very hard, and I just watched one and I was very tired, so, I'm glad you did finally get some chicken nuggets in, and
Thank you.
I hope since you've been home, you have gotten your fill of ranch dressing. But I wanna talk a little bit more about your trip after because you did bring your son, your 5-year-old son, Bear, along with you. This was, I think, your first pro race that he has been able to be a fan for, your first pro Ironman at least. And, what else happened after the race? How was the rest of the trip?
I was so nervous to travel, not with him. I thought he would do fine, but that's a big ask for a 5-year-old to I think the travel time totaled to about 30 hours, and we're in a different country, in a different bed, with a completely different routine and different foods and all of that, and he did so good. He was the most resilient traveler out of my husband and I by far. And of course, you ask him like what was his favorite part of the whole trip, and two things come up. One is the airplane trip, which I'm like, bless you, little child, that's fantastic.
Wait,
And then
the long flight, the,
yeah, the
12,
like
13-hour flight, 14
14-hour flight. Yeah, it was. He slept almost 10 hours of that flight. And then,
Wow.
we're not a big screen time family, but for that long flight, they put a screen right in his seat. And then you can put the kids' interface on and he can just scroll right on through and watch as many shows as he wants. So he was living his best life. And then the number 2 thing on his list is there's a little trolley at the San Francisco airport that
Oh
takes
my
you from terminal to terminal. We were on that thing for approximately 2.5 minutes, and that topped the New Zealand trip. That little trolley, when we were like fighting for our lives because we hadn't slept in like 48 hours. And Nick and I are both like looking at each other like one of us is going to die. And Bear was like, this is the best moment. And it kind of makes you, I don't know, he really was fantastic from my perspective, right? He didn't understand how tiring the rest of the travel day was going to be. He didn't have these looming fears about what was coming. He just was so in the moment. And in that moment, this was so cool that he was on a 9 across plane with a screen in front of him. And there was nothing in the world that was going to be cooler than that moment, or the fact that he's on a train for his first time. And so it brought a whole new perspective. We opted to stay on the North Island for a week after the race. We did a lot of excursions. We went to the ocean, which was fantastic. We were going to summit a small mountain, but unfortunately they had pretty bad rain the month leading into it, and so that was closed. But we just explored the North Island of New Zealand and absolutely fell in love with the country, fell in love with the people, really fell in love with the culture to be outside and the culture to be active. I thought was really beautiful. And I felt like there's a lot of similarities between the geography and the mindset of the North Island of New Zealand and northern Michigan, where we live. I found a lot of crossovers with that. And so that was really fun. And the race course was in the most beautiful area too. So that was also a really fun place to see the country when we were on the bike and navigating through it all. But you went to the South Island. That's on my
I
bucket list
did.
still.
I did. Before I talk about the South Island, I do want to hear, what was your favorite part?
Oh, my favorite part is, oh my gosh, I want to say all of it. It truly was all of it. Everything had these incredible moments, but we were in Rotorua and they have this gondola that you can take from the base to the top. And I was talking to you and you said that you hiked atop of the mountain and then took the gondola down. We opted the gondola both up and down. Well, up. And then to come down, you could get in these little like Mario Kart luge
Oh,
things
yes.
and just like skyrocket down. And they were fine with a 5-year-old doing it. And I was like, if you're fine, I'm fine. We'll put a helmet on him. And like, I know ATLS, Advanced Trauma Life Support, like we will figure it out. And so we put him in the little Mario Kart luge and down we went. We had 5 races. Do you remember N64 when you were, did you ever
Yes.
play like Mario Kart race kart?
Yes. Oh
The
my gosh,
go-karts?
the best.
That the best. That is what it felt like. It felt like I was reliving my childhood in a real life animation of Mario Kart. So 10
Is
out of
that
10
like Super
recommend
Smash
that.
Brothers? Is that, I'm trying to
Yes.
think of like the different ones, but okay, that sounds fun. That sounds
It was so
great.
fun. And then if Bear would have been 10, you can zip line down, which would have been really
Okay.
cool too. And then the other one was like bungee jumping down. So both of them,
Wait,
those are 10
are
and
you,
older.
would you bungee jump?
1,000%. I was not born with a fear mechanism. Like there is not an iota of fear, like that stop gate that normal people have. I was not born with it. Like skydiving, bungee jumping. I feel I don't think I can differentiate between like a scared I might die and adrenaline. Both of those feel like the same thing to me. And so I'm like, sign me up. And my husband, complete opposite. So he's like, maybe this is a really bad idea. Or his famous line is like, do we think this is a good idea? And I'm like, yeah, no part of me would have thought otherwise. Like, this sounds fantastic. And so I don't know. It's yeah, but are you a bungee
No,
jumper and a skydiver?
no. I
Wow.
rode a children's zip line and it was just the right amount of thrill for me at like a park. That was
Haley, see, I
it.
would think you would be like a dopamine adrenaline junkie like for the Ironman of it all. Like you need the thrill. Nope, no thrill
I
needed.
have a pretty strong like I really dislike being injured, and maybe this is why,
Okay.
because I've had the
Yeah.
bike crashes and I've had those injuries and being, like, immobilized, and it has created a weird safety,
Mm.
obsession in my mind where, like, I really don't want any broken bones or any risk of that, and I'm like, I feel like I have enough thrill in life, and so I did the children's little, like, hang on
Wow.
like, it was beautiful, it was by a lake
Like what
in a
they have
park.
at the playgrounds.
Yeah, it was a playground one.
Incredible.
That was perfect. I saw some of the zip lines and bungee jumps, and I saw
Hmm.
some videos of other people doing that post-race, and I was like, "Oh, hell no. No, thank you."
Really? This is
Yes.
surprising to me, Haley.
I'm sorry to
Maybe we're good to
disappoint
travel
you.
together though, because you'll be my little like, do we think this is a good idea?
Yes, there we go. I
Yes,
I will
Haley, do
take
it.
big risks in other ways. I think I will take big risks in other ways. I will go on a big trip. I will take bigger financial risks. I think
Mm.
it's, like, risk with my physical, body. I'll go for a long time. I'll do an Ironman. I'll do a long hike, that kind of thing, but, like, the idea of, like, skydiving or bungee jumping, no, no. So but you did
I
not
think I
bungee jump on this
have.
trip, because bungee jumping is,
Yeah,
like, a big
no.
thing in New Zealand.
It's a really big thing. I think that maybe I just have a little bit of overconfidence in the healthcare system and the way that like healthcare is incredible and their healthcare providers will do their part will try their hardest and will do their best job. And so maybe that's where a little bit of the false confidence comes in. But yeah, I think bungee jumping is bigger on the South Island as compared to the North.
Okay.
Um, we did not formally go into Hobbiton. Uh,
Oh.
I did not realize you needed tickets like 90 days out.
Whoa.
So we looked approximately 1 month out and everything was taken. And so we didn't do that. They also have glowworm caves, which we found to
Okay.
be incredibly cool. And of course, we're on this like little cave tour. And this guy is leading Bear, Nick, and I. And he's talking about like the glowworm genesis and how this worm essentially has a glow out of his butt. And Bear could not get beyond the fact that the worm had a glowing mechanism out of his butt. And so then, like the rest of the tour, like we could not focus on anything else besides that worm fact. And so it was really cool. 10 out of 10 recommend the glowworms. And I hear Hobbiton is really beautiful. If you
Next
are you a Lord of
time.
the Rings human?
I should be, because I feel like that's, like,
Okay.
right up my alley. Like, I love the, like,
Yeah.
fantasy worlds. I think Lord of the Rings, I read The Hobbit. I did read that book at one time, and then the problem with Lord of the Rings was, like, I think the first one came out while I was in high school, and I was just a very busy high school student, and the idea of a 3-hour movie, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself to do it. I was swimming, I was running, I was going to school. I was just very into those things. I'm kinda like how I am now. I'm sad, but, there's been no progress. But I
It's a
just
beautiful
couldn't get
life.
myself to sit and watch a movie that long, and then I just felt like I never caught up. And so, no, I'm not. But I I empathize with Lord of the Rings fans. I feel like in a different
Mm.
world, I would be one of them. Are you a big fan?
I am not. No, I was a Harry Potter human growing up. That was kind of what defined my middle school and my high school years. And I also just, yeah, those 3 hour videos came at a bad time for 3 hour movies came at a bad time of my life. And I haven't gotten into it, and now there's like too many books on my TBR to retroactively go back and read them. And I just am not really into movies nowadays. So we'll have to have somebody give us a recap sometime about it, or maybe
That would
just
be
watch the
good.
highlights. It's
I
probably
feel like
bad.
I tried for, more than, like, 25 years to, like, not
Mm.
totally I know basic things, but I could watch it and probably, like, not know what's gonna happen, and that's kind of a wonderful thing. I feel
I
like
won't. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would be going in blind. I'd be like, "This incredible movie that just came out. Know nothing about it."
there's people, like, who are like, "Blasphemy" right now, but,
I know.
uh so you did get to tour around a little bit. As you mentioned, I went to the South Island. Sam and I went to the South Island for 3 or 4 days, and I really wanted to see Wanaka. I think Challenge Wanaka was a race that I always wanted to do. I could never quite get myself fit enough in February when they had a pro race, and then I think they didn't have the pro race, and it felt like such a big trip for that time of year. And so I never got to do it. So I just wanted to see it because I think that was one that always intrigued me, and it was on my bucket list that I didn't quite check off. And so I am very glad that I got to see the South Island, and we did go to Wanaka just very briefly, but being there, it reminded me a lot of my other favorite races, of races like uh Challenge Puerto Varas in southern Chile, or I did Bariloche 70.3 in Argentina, and they're in very similar kind of terrain and vibe. Obviously, it's different because it's New Zealand, but just the mountains are there, the lake, even a little bit of like Challenge Iceland. I got to do that race, and so these were some of those my favorite adventure races, and those are the kind of risks I'll take. I will go do a 70.3 in Iceland, but I will not be bungee jumping, but I will, take all my worldly possessions and spend a ridiculous amount of money to have this race experience. And I'm thankful for that because now I do. I'm like, I think of those as some of my favorite memories, even though in the moment things felt crazy and really hard. But I do think Challenge Wanaka would be an incredible race venue. And I would encourage anyone who can get themselves ready by February to put that one on the list. Around Wanaka, we did get to see Mount Cook, which is the highest peak in New Zealand. And no, we did not climb it. We did like a 1 kilometer walk around it to take pictures. But luckily, while we were there, the sun burned off. And I think that's it, or the clouds, the sun burned off. The sun burned off the clouds. And we got a really good view of Mount Cook, and walking on there was so spectacularly beautiful. And we spent a little bit of time in Queenstown. We took a bus tour to Milford Sound, and then you take a boat tour. I was very nervous about this because I have very terrible motion sickness. And I didn't take any medication going into this, but I had some Zofran just in case if I got real sick for afterwards, but I it went okay. Like, it went okay. We were in a smaller van, like a 16 passenger van. I was able to sit in the front. I also know eating a lot of food helps, so I'm, like, eating the whole time. Our van tour guide, Andy, he had raced Ironman New Zealand. I think many years previously, but that was, like, small world. I think he was Kyle Smith's gym teacher. So, Kyle
Oh,
Smith, who led the race for 7 hours from Topa,
yeah.
his gym teacher was our van tour guide, Andy. He was great. So, and Andy was a great driver. So I was very thankful for that. And then on the boat, I sat in the front and outside, so I had, like, the wind on me. It was a little cold, and you're riding through this, like, sound, and so it's like coming off, it's like you have water coming in from the ocean, and it's just these cliffs with, like, waterfalls, and it's spectacularly beautiful. We did go out into the Tamsin Sea a little bit, which is the sea between New Zealand and Australia, and we're, like, getting out there, and there's these swells, and I was watching these other boats, like, turn around early, and I was like, "Do we really need to go out there?" And that part was a little rough for me, and coming back, and I'm just like, "Okay, focus on the horizon." Like, I was a lot of that. I needed that boat ride to be I think they were trying to make it 2 to 2.5 hours, and I think 30 minutes would have been perfect
That's
for me.
perfect.
I'm, like, eating every kind of, Australian candy that I had in my bag, and everyone's like, "Are you cold?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, I need to stay out here."
No.
But, I made it back. I think if I were to do it again, what I actually would like to do is have Andy, I'd sign up for Andy's tour and then have him drop me off, and you can do, like a run, like one of the what do they call them, treks, like, from near
Cool.
Milford Sound back to Queenstown, and I think some people do them
Wow.
over multiple days. I like to do it in one day. I don't love the idea of camping. I wanna go stay in a nice hotel. I wanna go have a beer and, like, celebratory
Yeah.
drink, but that's what I would do. If I could go back, I would arrange some things like that. Again, we knew this was coming post Ironman, and, like, the last thing you wanna do is, like, a 30-kilometer trek, but,
Yeah.
um, I think I think that is how I would do it next time.
That sounds incredible. There was a couple people on our planes who had done a very similar thing where essentially they stayed in a hotel and then they packed up all of their things and then they ran from hotel A to hotel B along a
Cool.
very scenic route. And then all of their stuff was brought from hotel A to hotel B. And they did that over 7 days. They
I
said their
love
distances
that.
range from like I think 15 kilometers up to like 40 kilometers a day. Um,
Wow.
but the longer days were more flat terrain, and then the shorter days were included some peak summits, and that just seemed so incredible. And then your meals are prepared for you, and you got to go back to the hotel every night and talk to the other people who were on a similar excursion and just talk about what you saw and what you ran into. And yeah, I agree.
I
Coupling
love that
physical
idea.
activity with sightseeing just sounds glorious. I know they were both from Canada and I was geeking out talking to them. And I was like, next time I would love to do something like that.
Yes. I think yeah, if I as long as I'm not racing. I think the problem is if you're racing, it's you are a little bit tired afterwards,
Yeah.
but I love that idea. I'm going to have to look into that or someone who's listening knows, please send me that information because that sounds like my kind of vacation.
Mine too. I love the coupling of exercise and carbs and sleep and adventure. If
Yeah,
I could
sleep in
pick
a
four
nice
perfect
bed
things.
too. I'm like, that is perfect. Uh, well, we made it back. How's your jet lag been since getting home?
It was pretty terrible in the beginning. We ended up getting in around 2 a.m. and Michigan, northern Michigan, just got the most incredible snowstorm. We got estimates of between 4 and 5 feet of snow within 2 days. So we thread the needle. They had a really bad storm, and then we flew in, and then we had another really bad storm. So we were very
Oh.
thankful to have arrived. If not, people were stranded for 2 days because we weren't accepting any planes in Traverse City for around 2 days. So we are happy we made it home. And it was really cool because I got on my plane, the little jumper between Chicago and Traverse City, and I got on, and one of my really good friends was like sitting on the
No
plane as I got
way.
on, and she was flying home from Texas. And so it was just a really lovely thing to cross paths with her at 2 a.m. in the morning when we were like fighting for our lives at that point. But it was good. You know, the first couple nights we were up in the middle of the night, and it was actually like last night and the night before that I felt like I was sleeping through the night and starting to feel a little bit better. What about you?
That first day was so bad. I got home a little I think a day earlier than you, and I I didn't get home at 2 AM, but it was, like, midnight. I think there were a lot of delayed flights, and the weather was great here, but I was hoping I took that Friday off work, so I got home on Thursday, took that Friday off work, and I was like, "I'm gonna swim at lunch." And then I woke up at 12:30, like noon, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I missed the lunch swim." I'm like, "Oh, so much for that." And then it is harder to go to bed, and so I was glad I had that weekend to try to get myself back, and then I worked pretty early hours, and so being up this week has been a little bit hard, and then it is I still just wanna stay up really late, but our weather here is not drifts of snow. It is 70 and sunny. I'm so
What?
sorry.
You're killing me this winter. Like, this has not been a good winter for me, and I feel like you're living your best life over in Bozeman.
I know, it's so bizarre. So, I have been outside, I've gotten to see Cowboy, that's,
Oh.
my joint custody with my parents, the dog, and, he's so happy. It's like you run past the breweries and everyone's outside in the sun, so happy. It was spring break here, but just so many people out enjoying themselves. So, that has kept me going. I think other times when I've gone to the Southern Hemisphere and come back to snow like you just did, it's a little bit of like, "Oh, you had this tan and now you're in snow." And I think our weather is about to dip a little bit, but it's nice that we are going into summer now, the days are longer, and that's helping me a little bit go through the post New Zealand withdrawal.
And a silver lining is we missed Spring Forward here, which I'm like,
Mhm.
if there's a weekend to miss, that is a fantastic one. And, there are parts of Canada who are no longer recognizing Spring Forward and the time change, which I really commend them for moving that forward in their legislation. And then New Zealand decides to do the time change in April. And I was like, that's really
Oh.
interesting to me that it varies so much.
I'm so thankful I missed that. I,
Me too.
I do that's not my favorite thing. I do like this timing better where it's
Me too.
lighter later. So
Yeah.
we've made it. Uh, I do wanna ask you, I don't think it's too soon, but, like, what's next? I know you have signed up for more than just 100 IM. Is anything else
I
happening, or are you taking it day by day?
I'm taking it day by day. So the third weekend of April, I have 3 events on my schedule. And I haven't yet talked to my coach about which one we're doing, but there is the Masters swim meet, which spans Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A multitude of distances could be swam at that event. Um, Option number 2 is I am on the start list for a 64-mile gravel bike race called the Barry Roubaix in Michigan. I hear it's iconic. Um, it was one of the starts that you had to sign up right at the minute that it opened. So I am on that start list, which is exciting. I do need to do some tender living care to my gravel bike, which has really taken a back seat over the last couple of years. But I feel like I have enough fitness for a bike race, and in gravel biking, you're allowed to draft. And so if I could just get with fun humans and draft off them and talk to them, it could be a fun opportunity. And then start line number 3 is the Boston Marathon. So I haven't decided yet.
Should we ask
I
our listeners to vote? I feel like we can make this a
No,
nice
because then I
little
feel like I
reel.
would be stuck doing one. Let's keep in mind if you vote for swimming, I am not a swimmer. I am an AOS, and could be treacherous. It would be me against real swimmers, and I probably wouldn't do a block start. I would start in water, but I would hopefully do long enough distances that I could make myself up, make my time up. Yeah, or gravel bike or the Boston Marathon.
And you have
And
run Boston before.
I have run Boston before. Boston is not an easy race for a Northern Michigander to get to, and I know that that's privileged. There's a lot more people that it's a lot harder to get to, but um, flights are expensive. Hotels are expensive, and so that's the hesitation with Boston is just it takes a lot to travel out there, and I also want to respect Boston. Like I want to be my best self showing up on the Boston start line and give everything I can to an absolutely iconic and incredible race.
Are
So I
you
don't know.
worried? Are you worried that the gravel bike race could be through 8-foot drifts of snow?
I mean, at this rate, yeah, I'm going to be like hike a biking for 60 miles of the 64 miles. It could be. The thing that I love about mountain biking and gravel is the culture. And like the gnarlier it is, the more epic and awful the conditions are, the more fun everyone seems to have. Like everybody feels like they're there for the vibes. I feel like triathletes are very type A, and I am a very type A human as well. And I do like controlling the controllables. Um, it is not like that in mountain bike and gravel racing. You truly just have to be like, I am here for the vibes and nobody really cares how this happens. So yes, it could be really muddy. And I use a wax chain, so that helps a little bit with the mud. 10 out of
Okay.
10 recommend.
Okay. Well, you have a few weeks to decide. It can
I'll talk with
sometimes
my coach
be
about it.
yeah, we can chat, but I think sometimes it's frustrating when there's multiple events on one weekend, but it sounds like this is a fun challenge for you. Which one? And we will wait with bated breath to find out what you decide
And
on
is it
Happy Hour
possible
with
to
Haley.
do is it possible to do like the mile swim on Friday, the Barry on Saturday, get on a plane and be on the Boston
Yeah.
start line on Monday?
Yes.
A triathlon
Actually,
of sorts.
oh my
It would be
god,
a
I love that.
triathlon. No, me too.
Yes. Oh my
The
gosh,
most
that's
epic.
awesome.
Wait, that would be really fun.
You just came up with
We should
that
do
on
it.
this. You should definitely do that because
It
you can do, but I did Boston when I ran it in 2008. I did it with I mean, I was coming from Atlanta, so that's a little bit easier with flights, but I did it with only one night in a hotel, and it was for the
Well,
same
I could
reasons,
go. The
expense.
Barry is down by Detroit, and so Detroit has nice flights over to Boston.
I feel like I
Okay.
just figured this out for
I
you.
think we just thank you for letting me speak through. You can hold on to your therapy session check. I feel like we've equaled out. Net
Perfect.
zero.
With that, there's a lot of racing happening
So
this
much.
around right now. Triathlon racing, pro racing. We are recording this before a lot of the pro racing happens, even before the T100 Gold Coast, which is happening in just a few hours. So we don't know the status of everyone's weekend racing, but after this airs, we will be able to watch Oceanside 70.3. So this is the
I'm
start
so
of the
excited.
big Ironman Pro Series in North America, the first stop of the Ironman Pro Series in North America. So Oceanside 70.3 happening in Oceanside, California, that's Southern California. And it's an iconic race. It is a Pro Series race, has a very deep start field, start list. Have you had a chance to look at the start list? Any names that stood out to you?
So many. And that's what's so exciting about it. There are so many incredible names. So we have 31 women on the start list right now, which is a big number. It's sold out.
Yeah.
I believe there are 71 men, but it's
Wow.
full. Uh, let's talk about some people we're excited about. Well, F1 right off the bat is Paula Finley. I love watching her race. I love the passion that she brings. I love the intensity that she brings. And I feel like if she's on a start list, she's going to give us all she can. So I'm excited to watch her.
Yeah. I'll just go down the list. F2, Taylor Knibb, who is racing in a few hours at T100 Gold Coast. So that is in Australia. And then less than 1 week later, I think with the you flying over the international dateline, racing Oceanside 70.3. What do you think about that double?
Haley, I was just going to ask you, if you're an athlete in that position, how do you manage recovery? How do you manage energy levels? I think the assumption has to be that she is flying business class, first class, and I think that helps. And I believe she said in an interview that that is her expectation when she does these long haul flights. I think that helps a lot. But what would you tell your athletes? What would you do as an athlete if that's your schedule?
I have done that once. I raced Clash Miami. And then I think it actually was 8 or 9 days later because I think Clash Miami was on a Friday, and then I raced Challenge Puerto Varas in southern Chile on a Sunday, the following Sunday. So it wasn't quite the same distance of travel, but it is 2 70.3-ish distance races, 1 week apart. I actually did end up liking it. Like, I did. I think, I mean, I think if you were doing an Ironman, it'd be different. I don't know if I would like that as much, but I did like it. I liked that the hotter race was first, which is how Taylor will be doing it first. Gold Coast, T100 Gold Coast is a little bit shorter and hotter than Oceanside. And I think that is a little bit better on your body to have, get that heat shock and then go to the colder race. Oceanside should be colder, although Southern California has been very hot, so it might be just as hot. I flew through LA. Oh my goodness. I had to run from the international terminal to United Terminal to make my flight, and I was dripping sweat, like running with my stuff. And then, of course, when you're dripping sweat, you light up the security thing because I think liquids
Yeah.
do it, and then you have to get pat down. I was like, just winning here,
I'm
but
so sweaty.
so sweaty. I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't worry, I didn't spill water. It's my sweat.
Sweat.
But bless those TSA agents.
Bless
So
the TSA agents.
so I think Taylor's an experienced athlete at this point. She knows what she's doing. I think it could just be like a little racing block. You'll get kind of a little fitness boost from that first race. And for me, I felt pretty bad in the days after the first race, but by Thursday, I was able to do kind of, I think, a little bit of a bike workout with some intensity, and then felt a little bit better each day until race day. And I think the race actually, my Challenge Puerto Varas race went well. So I think it can be done. And then after that second race, I was pretty tired and needed like an actual break. But I believe it's Grace Tech, who's also on the start list, F7.
Yeah.
She's racing 70.3 Geelong, and so also and then Oceanside. So Taylor's not alone, and Grace is another athlete who I think races quite frequently. So these athletes know what they're doing, and I'm sure they have their recovery modalities. And like you mentioned, a business class flight might help, but maybe for someone like Taylor, it makes her sit for that long and recover and
Mm,
sleep, and maybe it's actually a
yeah.
good thing. But it'll be interesting to see how it
Would
goes.
you rather do, because I believe Jackie Herring just did 70.3 Dallas. So that would be 3 weeks start line to start
2
line.
weeks. I think
Two
that's 2
weeks.
weeks.
Would you rather do a week minimal training in the middle, or would you rather have the 2 week back to back?
I'm not sure. I mean, it depends. Actually, if my race went really well, if the first race goes really well, I want 1 week because
Okay.
I'm obviously in good form. Like, let's just hit it out again. If the
Yeah.
first race went poorly, I want 2 weeks because I think in 2 weeks there is enough time to kind of recover, learn from that first race, and have a better second race.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You would have a couple possibly hard intensity days right around that weekend mark, and then you could build back up and then take a taper.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, it's different strategies and different things that different people want, but um I everyone, has their reasoning for why they're at certain races, and we don't always know the full story, but you're right, Jackie Herring just raced. I wanna skip over F3. Solveig
Yeah.
Loveseth, our reigning Ironman world champion, starting her season. This will be her first race of the year. Are you excited to see Solveig in Oceanside?
I'm so excited. From an athlete perspective, I imagine you win the world championship. You have this incredible high. You have a lot of media requirements. You're just living on this cloud. How do you how do you come down from that, take a proper rest season, and then build back up? I think that's really, really challenging. And you've seen some athletes do it, and you've seen some athletes that really struggle with the early season races after a Kona win. So I'm so excited to see her race. I'm so excited to see what form she's in. I wonder if she's going to target world championships later in the year, and this is part of a build. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what type of shape she's in, what type of mental headspace she's in, and what she does on the start line. What about you?
I agree. I think Solveig won Kona as a bit of a surprise, I think, to even her. It was her first Kona, and we don't see people often win on their first try at that race. And she
Yeah.
is young. I mean, I think she's under 30, and she is in that Norwegian contingent. So she is around people who have also done that. Christian Blumenfeld, Gustav Eden, who have won the Ironman World Championship before. So I think that gives her a little more insight into how to handle the post Ironman, the win
Yeah.
or World Championship win circus. I'm sure that happens. And I think this year, I think she's going for the pro series.
Yeah.
I think she's very happy with how she did, but I think maybe we haven't seen what she's capable of yet when she has that experience. And I think that is very exciting. So I'm excited to see how she does in Oceanside and how she kicks off her season, how she's doing in March, or April. It's still March. It's still
Still
March.
March. It's a long month. Okay, who is your athlete to watch? Who's on your radar that we should know about?
I I wanna bring up Brittany Talbot, F27, who is
Your
actually
athlete.
my coached athlete. Yes, so
Oh, that's so cool.
Brittany did do her first pro race last year. So she raced, 70.3 Santa Cruz and Indian Wells, 70.3, and, um She had a baby a little over a year ago. You know, her son is about a year old, I think, and she has just kind of raced her way back to fitness and postpartum, and each race seems to be getting a little bit better. She lives in LA, so this is sort of a little bit of a hometown-ish race for her, and I am just excited to see how she does. I think Brittany is enjoying the pro field experience, and also as her son gets a little older, as you know, it is pretty neat to have him on the sideline and have him watch his mom race as a professional athlete. So I'm very excited to see how Brittany's day goes.
I'm so excited to watch her. I had the opportunity to line up next to her in Kona, and she's just an incredible athlete, an incredible human, and she brings a lot to the pro field. So I'm excited to watch her. I also am
Who are you?
excited to see how Grace Alexander races. I love watching Grace race. I think she's a fantastic 70.3 athlete, and she does a lot of North American racing. So I hope to see her on a lot of North American start lines this year, but I'm excited to see how she does.
Okay. I like these I like how we're starting this. Do you want to pick a first, second, third?
Yes, I am going to go Taylor Solving Jackie. What about you?
Interesting. I was gonna go Solveig Taylor Paula.
Oh, I love it.
So we'll have
That
to
sounds good.
see.
And then who's your dark mare?
Brittany.
Brittany? Okay,
We
that's
did
what I
those
thought.
first.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, that's great. And then I'll keep Grace Alexander as mine.
I love it. I think that it's going to be very good racing.
Haley, can I
And
finish this up with one thing that I heard that I'm really excited about?
what's that?
Okay, if I had to summon you and I could only summon you, what are the 3 things that I need to put in my summoning circle to just get Haley Chura?
Pancakes, a latte, and like a route map on a cool run.
Okay. Maybe like an adventure run route and a plane ticket for it.
Yes, there we go. That's kind of it's like a little bag. The third thing is a little bag full of things.
Little
I'm like,
trinkets. Little
yes.
trinkets of sorts.
Wait, okay, same question to you.
I would say some type of, we'll keep with the theme of the podcast, some type of like borderline dangerous adventure, adrenaline seeking activity, like a ticket to do that. A Bravo show and McDonald's.
I love it. That's a great
Ice cream.
question. I'm gonna keep
Oh, and
some
Taylor
chicken
Swift.
nuggets
How
on
did
hand.
neither of us say Taylor? Taylor's in both of ours.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like again, in my trinket of things, it's also an
It's Taylor.
iPod loaded with Taylor Swift songs for my run.
Lovely. Same.
Okay, that's a good part. I mean, we could go on and on because it's also like there's, certain animals. If Cowboy's out there, that's probably a good thing that's
A
summoning.
baby animal would get me regardless. Any baby animal.
Yes, but the on the spot thoughts. I mean, it's good to know.
But that's
It's
what
good to
makes
know
it good.
we like things in life. I mean, I
We
feel like
like
that's
coffee, carbs, and then I like reality television.
what a life. Katie, it's been so
What a
good
life.
catching up with you. Congratulations again. Keep that post New Zealand glow going, and maybe we got to catch up again before your ultimate triathlon. Oh, you still have look at those tan lines. Okay. If you're watching the YouTube, those are some impressive race number tan lines. 2 weeks post race. 2 weeks
Thank
post
you.
race, you still have them.
My body was so excited to see sun. It's holding on to every ounce of it that it can.
Good.
Haley, it
brings
was so
you
great chatting with you. I can't wait until our next one. And thank you for hopefully making my triathlon adventure a reality.
Let's make it happen. I'll talk to you later, Katie.
Okay, bye.